North by Northwest wasn't just a spy thriller. It was a beautifully designed illusion collapsing into chaos. Alfred Hitchcock crafted every frame with surgical precision, yet behind that control was a storm of government interference, secret rewrites, and near-death stunts. What looked elegant on screen was absolute madness off it. From presidential monuments to real airplanes skimming actors' heads, the production blurred the line between fiction and danger. Today we'll dive into 20 weird, unbelievable facts about North by Northwest that reveal how one of cinema's classiest thrillers was built on pure, calculated chaos. Let's start running. Number 20, Fact 20. The Mount Rushmore ban that Hitchcock outsmarted. When Hitchcock's script reached the National Park Service, officials were horrified to find scenes involving murder and chase sequences on Mount Rushmore. They immediately banned any form of violence, climbing, or physical contact with the monument. Hitchcock smiled, agreed on paper, and then outsmarted them completely. He secretly filmed minor shots at the visitor center before building a massive replica of Rushmore at MGM's backlot. Every cliff, nose, and rock was reconstructed with plaster, forced perspective, and matte paintings so realistic that even park employees later admitted they couldn't tell real from fake. When the deception surfaced, the Park Service was furious. Hitchcock was banned for life from filming there again. But that didn't matter. He'd already created the most convincing illusion in movie history. Fact 19. Cary Grant didn't know the plot. While acting, you'd expect the film's leading man to know what story he's in, but Cary Grant had no clue. Hitchcock gave him script pages only the night before filming each scene. Grant constantly complained that his lines didn't make sense and that every scene contradicted the last. Hitchcock only chuckled and said, "That's exactly how your character feels." So Grant performed every scene with real confusion, mirroring Roger Thornhill's paranoia about being mistaken for someone who doesn't exist. By the time the film premiered, Grant joked that he finally understood what the movie was about. That authenticity is why Thornhill's panic feels so natural. The actor was just as lost as the character. Fact 18. The crop duster scene nearly became a real tragedy. The crop duster chase is one of cinema's most famous moments and one of its most dangerous. Hitchcock refused to fake it. He hired a stunt pilot to fly dangerously low over Cary Grant in a desolate California field. But one gust of desert wind came too strong. The plane dove too close, passing within 4 feet of Grant's head. He dropped flat to the ground in genuine terror, and the camera kept rolling. That's the exact shot used in the final cut. No doubles, no safety barriers, no CGI. Just raw fear captured on film. It became a timeless example of Hitchcock's philosophy. Real fear looks better than acted fear. Fact 17. The leading lady was a cold-blooded gamble. Eva Marie Saint wasn't supposed to be in this movie at all. Hitchcock originally wanted Grace Kelly, but she'd become Princess of Monaco and was forbidden from returning to Hollywood. MGM suggested flashier names, but Hitchcock ignored them. He'd seen Eva's subtle performance in On the Waterfront and wanted her for something different, elegant, intelligent, and emotionally frozen. He instructed her to underplay everything, forbidding wide smiles or open gestures. "Don't act, withhold," he said. The result was the now iconic icewoman persona, a spy whose emotions stay buried under a layer of poise and mystery. Critics called her robotic at the time, but decades later, that restrained performance became Hitchcock's signature female archetype, danger wrapped in grace. Fact 16. The script was written backwards. Screenwriter Ernest Lehman wasn't handed a plot, he was handed a challenge. Hitchcock told him, "I want the ultimate Hitchcock picture, but I don't know what it's about yet." Lehman panicked. So they began from the end, a man hanging off Mount Rushmore, and wrote the rest backward, inventing scenes that could logically, or illogically, lead to that image. Entire storylines, villains, and motivations were improvised mid-process, built around set pieces Hitchcock already wanted to shoot. What emerged wasn't a traditional script, but a cinematic chain reaction. Scenes of identity confusion, paranoia, and elegance stitched together by instinct. Lehman later admitted, "We didn't write a story, we chased one." Fact 15. Cary Grant's secret deal that made him a fortune. Cary Grant wasn't just a suave leading man. He was one of Hollywood's smartest businessmen. Instead of taking a flat fee for North by Northwest, Grant negotiated for a percentage of the profits. At the time, MGM assumed the film would be a moderate success, not the blockbuster it became. When box office numbers exploded, Grant's share skyrocketed. Reports later estimated his earnings at nearly $400,000, an astronomical sum for the late 1950s. Grant once joked that every time that plane chased me, I was running toward my paycheck. Behind the calm charm and tailored suits was a man who knew his value and played the Hollywood system like a master chess player. Fact 14. The auction scene was improvised chaos. That hilarious moment when Roger Thornhill deliberately makes a fool of himself at the art auction? It wasn't in the script. Hitchcock invented it mid-production when he realized the character needed a clever escape without relying on gunfire or chases. Cary Grant suggested pretending to be drunk and shouting ridiculous bids to get himself arrested. A crazy, comic solution that Hitchcock instantly loved. They filmed it in one day, using real extras who believed they were attending an actual auction. The confused reactions you see on camera are completely genuine, turning an improvised idea into one of the film's most unforgettable moments. It proved that Hitchcock's strict control could still leave space for spontaneous genius. Fact 13. Hitchcock secretly filmed the United Nations. When Hitchcock asked for permission to shoot inside the UN headquarters in New York, officials flatly refused. They didn't want a murder mystery filmed in a symbol of global diplomacy. But Hitchcock wasn't one to take no as an answer. He placed hidden cameras in vans across the street and filmed Cary Grant entering the building without authorization. For interior shots, he used still photographs to rebuild the UN lobby on an MGM soundstage. The result looked so authentic that even journalists believed Hitchcock had somehow smuggled his cameras inside. That act of quiet rebellion mirrored the movie's own theme, a man infiltrating a world he doesn't belong to. Once again, Hitchcock turned limitation into legend. Fact 12. The train scene that broke censorship rules. In 1959, the Hollywood production code was strict about intimacy. Kisses could only last a few seconds. Hitchcock decided to push those limits. The seductive dining car scene between Ava Marie Saint and Cary Grant wasn't just romantic, it was a coded act of rebellion. Their kiss, broken into dozens of tiny fragments to slip past censors, lasts nearly 2 minutes in total. Hitchcock intercut the moment with shots of a speeding train entering a tunnel, a cheeky metaphor that everyone understood but no one could officially complain about. Critics called it the most daring romantic sequence of the decade, and audiences loved the elegance of its symbolism. It wasn't what they saw, it was what their imaginations completed that made it legendary. Fact 11. The title that meant absolutely nothing. North by Northwest sounds mysterious, even purposeful, but in truth, it was an accident. Screenwriter Ernest Lehman admitted it was a placeholder title that everyone got used to. Hitchcock loved its ambiguity. When reporters asked what it meant, he gave cryptic answers, sometimes saying it referred to a direction that doesn't exist, other times quoting Hamlet, "I am but mad, north-northwest." MGM's marketing department begged him to change it to something more commercial, but he refused. He wanted the confusion to begin before the first frame. The meaningless title became a perfect symbol of the movie's chaos. A story about mistaken identity, false clues, and a man chasing something that was never there. It's one of the rare cases where confusion itself became the hook. Fact 10. The dining car scene was a battle of wit and heat. The famous dining car flirtation between Cary Grant and Eva Marie Saint looks effortless, but the reality was far from glamorous. The entire set was built on a cramped soundstage with blinding studio lights that raised the temperature past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Hitchcock demanded multiple takes, tightening the camera's frame after each one to increase the tension between the actors. Every line was written to carry hidden double meanings. "I never discuss love on an empty stomach" wasn't just witty. It was suggestive enough to taunt the censors. The crew reportedly struggled not to laugh or faint in the heat, while Grant kept wiping sweat off his brow between takes. By the time Hitchcock finally yelled "cut," he had captured something rare, a conversation that felt like a duel wrapped in desire. He later called it his favorite form of violence, words disguised as foreplay. Fact 9. The ending sparked a Cold War inside MGM. MGM executives wanted a loud finale, gunfire, villains falling, explosions. But Hitchcock had a quieter, riskier vision. He wanted one cut, a single jump from danger to relief, symbolizing both narrative and psychological release. The hero hangs from a cliff in one shot, and in the next, he's pulling Eva Marie Saint into a train bed, safe and smiling. Executives accused him of breaking the rules of continuity, of ruining suspense. Hitchcock didn't care. He called it the most satisfying edit of my career, a visual wink turning peril into passion in one brilliant second. When the film premiered, the audience gasped, then laughed, realizing the joke was on them. It wasn't just an ending. It was Hitchcock declaring that only he decided when tension ended. Fact 8. The gray suit became Hollywood's most famous armor. Cary Grant's sleek gray suit isn't just wardrobe, it's cinematic psychology. Hitchcock personally approved the color, choosing a shade that would never clash with sand, sky, or rock. The same suit appears in nearly every scene. Never torn, never wrinkled, never out of place, even after explosions and desert chases. 6 identical versions were made by Taylor Kilgore, French, and Stanbury, but Grant only liked one and wore it for most of the film. It was cleaned and pressed every night by his valet to maintain the illusion of perfection. The suit became a symbol, calm under chaos, elegance facing madness. For decades, it defined how Hollywood dressed its heroes. Effortless, fearless, unflappable. Fact 7. The airplane of death wasn't always a plane. Believe it or not, early drafts didn't include a crop duster at all. Hitchcock first imagined a combine harvester chasing Thornhill through a cornfield, but he scrapped it after realizing machines don't have personality. Instead, he replaced it with a small yellow plane, something ordinary, transformed into terror. The barren California field near Wasco was chosen precisely because it offered nowhere to hide. Grant spent 2 exhausting days running in real heat while the plane swooped terrifyingly low over his head. There were no sound effects, no score during the chase, only the mechanical roar of the engine and Grant's footsteps in the dust. Hitchcock said the horror came from reversing expectations. "I wanted death to arrive in daylight, not darkness." It remains one of the purest visual metaphors in cinema. Nowhere is safe, not even under a perfect blue sky. Fact 6. The villain's calm was engineered through real frustration. James Mason, who played the charmingly sinister Philip Van Damme, almost quit the film after arguing with Hitchcock about his character's motivation. Hitchcock refused to explain the villain's psychology, insisting that mystery made evil more powerful. Mason, frustrated, asked, "Then what do you want from me?" Hitchcock coolly replied, "I want control and pleasure in watching others squirm." That single line unlocked Mason's performance. He began delivering his dialogue with icy precision, smiling through menace like a man enjoying cruelty as an art form. Hitchcock later confessed that the argument was intentional. He'd provoked Mason on purpose to create that tension. The result was one of cinema's most elegant villains, calm, unhurried, and terrifyingly sure of himself. In North by Northwest, evil doesn't shout, it smiles. If you thought those stories were wild, hold on tight. The next facts will blow your mind. From secret studio feuds to illegal shoots, and a finale that nearly got Hitchcock banned from America itself. The truth behind North by Northwest is about to get even stranger. Fact 5. Hitchcock's cameo was a perfect inside joke. Hitchcock was famous for sneaking himself into his films, and North by Northwest features one of his funniest appearances. He shows up right in the opening credits, rushing to catch a bus that closes its doors in his face. The timing was so precise that it took multiple takes to sync the music, the bus, and Hitchcock's frustrated reaction. Fans watching the movie in theaters would often cheer when they spotted him. It became a mini Easter egg hunt in every Hitchcock release. What most people don't realize is that this cameo also served a practical purpose. It prevented audiences from spending the whole movie searching for him. By showing up early, he freed them to focus on the story. Genius marketing disguised as a gag. Fact 4. The plane scene was shot without a permit. That legendary sequence where Cary Grant runs for his life through endless open fields? Yeah, it was basically illegal. MGM's permit didn't actually cover all the rural land used for the scene, but Hitchcock wanted the horizon perfectly empty. No roads, fences, or civilization. So he quietly instructed the crew to film in an unregistered area. Every time a local sheriff car appeared in the distance, they'd pack up and pretend to be surveyors. The stunt pilot, meanwhile, was flying dangerously low over the actor, with no safety regulations to protect him. The sheer recklessness would be impossible today, but it gave us one of the most haunting images in movie history, a man against an empty sky, hunted by the impossible. It was filmmaking as rebellion, and Hitchcock loved every second of it. Fact 3. The drunken driving scene was realistic for a scary reason. When Roger Thornhill is forced to drive drunk on a winding mountain road, Cary Grant's performance feels shockingly authentic. That's because Hitchcock made him spin around on set before each take until he was genuinely dizzy. Grant hated it. He was a perfectionist about control and elegance. But Hitchcock wanted physical imbalance, not fake acting. The camera's angles were tilted slightly too, making the road look like it was sliding out from under him. The combination of disorientation and visual distortion created a dizzying realism audiences could actually feel. Grant later admitted that the scene made him motion sick for hours, but also that it might be his most convincing performance in the entire film. Fact 2. The soundtrack that saved the film composer Bernard Herrmann didn't just write background music, he built the movie's heartbeat. Hitchcock was initially unsure how to score such a blend of humor, romance, and suspense. Herrmann responded by writing a piece that pulsed like adrenaline, the now iconic Overture. Its rhythm, inspired by Spanish dance beats, created constant forward motion. Even when characters stood still, every note pushed the story faster, tricking the audience into feeling tension where none existed. Without Herrmann's score, Hitchcock said the movie would have been a travelogue with handsome faces. The two men clashed often but created magic every time. Their partnership defined the sound of cinematic suspense itself. Fact 1. The film inspired James Bond's DNA before 007 ever ordered a martini. North by Northwest defined what a spy thriller looked like. Suave hero in a suit, mysterious blonde ally, globe-trotting adventure, stylish villains, and impossible escapes. The blueprint for Bond was already here. Screenwriter Ernest Lehman later admitted that Ian Fleming's novels inspired none of their choices, but Bond's first movie, Dr. No, lifted many from Hitchcock. Even the flirtatious tone and witty one-liners became staples of the spy genre after this film's success. Film historians often say, without North by Northwest, there'd be no Bond. It wasn't just a thriller, it was the birth of the modern action hero, wrapped in style and sophistication that never aged. And there you have it, 20 weird, fascinating, and downright unbelievable facts about North by Northwest. It's a film that turned confusion into art, danger into elegance, and mistakes into masterpieces. Hitchcock didn't just direct a movie. He orchestrated a cinematic illusion that still inspires every thriller made today. If you enjoyed diving behind the curtain of classic cinema, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next deep dive into the secrets of legendary films. Because sometimes The stories behind the camera are even crazier than the ones on screen.